So here's what just happened. OpenAI just dropped the biggest AI video bombshell in history, Sora 2, and it wasn't just a model upgrade. They launched an entire TikTok-style social app, added synchronized audio that Hollywood directors are calling terrifyingly good, and introduced a feature that lets you deepfake yourself into any video you can imagine. Yeah, that's the level of disruption we're talking about. Most people expected this to either revolutionize content creation or spark another AI ethics debate. And for a few hours after the September 30th announcement, the reactions were unreal. Sam Altman himself framed it as the GPT 3.5 moment for video, comparing it to the breakthrough that made ChatGPT mainstream. But within 24 hours of the launch, chaos erupted. The immediate fallout. Social media exploded with confusion, excitement, and panic. Content creators started posting about Hollywood being over. Filmmakers began debating whether their careers were about to become obsolete. And Tyler Perry, immediately put an $800 million studio expansion on hold. $800 million. That's not a headline, that's an earthquake. The top trending topic on X that weekend? Sora 2 Access. And it wasn't just social media hype. Major tech outlets, copyright lawyers, and even competing AI companies were scrambling to understand what OpenAI had just unleashed, because this wasn't just another AI model release. This was OpenAI declaring war on YouTube, TikTok, Google's Veo, and potentially the entire traditional video production industry. So what actually happened? OpenAI rolled out Sora 2 with an entirely new strategy. No gradual rollout to enterprise clients. No months of beta testing with select creators. They just announced that starting September 30th, 2025, anyone with an iPhone and an invite could start generating hyper-realistic 10-second videos with synchronized sound, realistic physics, and the ability to insert themselves into any scene imaginable. And for content creators, filmmakers, and tech companies, that meant the entire video landscape just shifted overnight. The technical revolution. Right away, people started testing the limits, and the results were jaw-dropping. Sora 2 wasn't just generating video anymore, it was simulating reality. Olympic gymnastics routines with perfect physics, backflips on paddleboards that accurately modeled water dynamics and human movement, triple axels where a cat somehow held on for dear life. These weren't cartoonish AI fever dreams. These were videos that could fool your eyes. The weird part is, on paper, the upgrade made sense. OpenAI called this their GPT 3.5 moment for video. The original Sora from February 2024 was impressive in the way GPT-1 was impressive. It showed what was possible. Even if it wasn't production ready, objects would disappear mid-scene, physics looked like a video game glitch, and there was zero audio. Sora 2 fixed all of that. Now you're getting videos up to 20 seconds long with synchronized dialogue, background soundscapes, and sound effects that match the on-screen action. The lip syncing is smoother than most deepfake tools. And here's the kicker. If you prompt a basketball player missing a shot, previous models would cheat by teleporting the ball into the hoop anyway. Sora 2, the ball rebounds off the backboard. It understands failure, not just success. But that wasn't the only innovation. OpenAI introduced something called cameos, a feature that lets you upload a one-time video and audio recording of yourself, and then drop your likeness into any AI-generated scene. Want to see yourself riding a dragon? Done. Running through the OpenAI office with Sam Altman? One prompt away. Having a conversation with Bigfoot in the forest? Absolutely possible. And this isn't some janky green screen effect. The system validates your identity through audio challenges, captures your appearance and voice, and then inserts you with what OpenAI calls remarkable fidelity. You control who can use your cameo, you can revoke access anytime, and you get notified whenever your likeness appears in someone else's video. In theory, it's the ethical way to do deep fakes. In practice, we're about to find out. The social app strategy. This all snowballed fast because OpenAI didn't just release a model, they launched an entire social platform. The Sora app is basically TikTok, but every single video is AI generated. You can't upload photos or videos from your camera roll. Everything in the feed is created by Sora 2. It's a closed ecosystem where users create, remix, and share AI content in a swipeable vertical feed with likes, comments, and algorithmic recommendations. And here's where it gets strategic. While Google's Veo 3 targets professional creators and enterprise clients, Sora 2 is going straight for the consumer market. Free access, invite only to start, available on iOS in the US and Canada. OpenAI is betting that everyday people, not just filmmakers, want to create and share video content. And by making it a social platform, they're building what analysts call a community moat, user-generated data that continuously trains and improves the model. The chaos made headlines everywhere. TechCrunch called it OpenAI's TikTok competitor. The Verge reported on the Cameo feature that lets friends deepfake each other. And NBC News documented the concerns about a new era of AI-generated content flooding social media. And that's the part that hit different, because this wasn't just about technology anymore. OpenAI was making a play for your attention, your creativity, and your social connections. Families creating videos together, friends remixing each other's generations, entire communities forming around AI-generated content. The human engagement was immediate and visible, even before anyone fully understood the implications. The copyright bombshell. And here's the thing, this all happened over a single launch day, and just when it couldn't get more controversial, another problem surfaced. The copyright situation was a mess. Despite OpenAI's messaging about responsible AI, the reality was more complicated. According to reports, Sora 2 operates on an opt-out system for copyrighted content. That means if you're a filmmaker, musician, or content creator, your work can be used to train Sora 2 unless you actively contact OpenAI and request exclusion. Read that again. Your copyrighted material is fair game by default until you opt out. OpenAI reportedly informed talent agencies and studios about this process last week, which tells you they knew exactly how controversial it would be. But it wasn't just the opt-out policy. Legal experts started pointing out that Sora appears to have been trained on video game footage, and that's legally complicated. A video game playthrough involves at least 3 layers of copyright: the game developer's content, the player's unique video capture, and potentially user-generated content within the game. One attorney gave the example of Fortnite. A video of someone playing a custom map would involve Epic Games, the player, and the map creator. That's 3 copyright holders for one training sample. IP lawyers started going on record saying training an AI platform on voices, movements, characters, songs, dialogue, and artwork constitutes copyright infringement, just as it would in other contexts. Getty Images already sued Stability AI for using their photos without permission. Writers like George R.R. Martin sued OpenAI over ChatGPT training data. The pattern was clear, and Sora 2 just walked right into the same legal minefield. Now, these weren't just legal complaints. According to copyright experts, the burden shouldn't be on creators to constantly monitor how their work is being used and fight to protect it. Imagine you're an independent filmmaker with dozens of projects across your career. Now you need to track down every piece of content you've created, identify whether it's been scraped into OpenAI's training pipeline, and file opt-out requests. And that's assuming you even know your work is being used. But it wasn't just creators pushing back. The entire structure felt backwards to many observers. One analysis described it as building systems that can replicate human creativity at scale without figuring out how to do that while respecting the rights and economic interests of the humans whose work made it possible. The safety and deepfake crisis. And if all of that wasn't enough, there were immediate safety concerns too. Deepfake fraud worldwide increased by more than 10 times from 2022 to 2023. And now, OpenAI was handing everyday users the ability to create hyper-realistic videos of themselves and others. Yes, there are safeguards, consent requirements, identity verification, the ability to revoke access to your likeness, but these features are only as powerful as the systems enforcing them. OpenAI restricted the feature that lets you upload photos of real people to a subset of users, acknowledging it's a vector of potential misuse. They've implemented C2PA metadata watermarks on every video, visible watermarks by default, and filters to detect minors in generated content. They're blocking child sexual abuse materials and sexual deepfakes, and they've expanded their human moderation team. But what really pushed this from a tech story into an ethical crisis was the question of control. Even if you trust someone you know with access to your AI likeness, that person could still generate deceptive content that harms you. Non-consensual videos are already a persistent problem with AI tools. And while OpenAI says users can revoke access anytime, the damage from a malicious video can happen in minutes and spread across the internet before you even know it exists. And then there's the broader societal impact. With tools like Sora 2, the boundary between real and generated content essentially disappears. Every video you see could be AI generated. Trust in visual evidence, already eroding thanks to photo manipulation, takes another massive hit. Media literacy becomes essential, but how many people have the time or training to verify everything they see? The competitive landscape. So, the question everyone's asking, how does Sora 2 stack up against the competition? Because this market is getting crowded fast. Google's Veo 3 already supports 4K resolution with native audio generation. Runway offers motion brushes and precise editing controls. Kling can generate 2+ minute videos, and dozens of startups are pushing into this space with different approaches. Here's the breakdown. Veo 3 is built for production workflows, high resolution, professional integrations, strong prompt adherence. Sora 2 is built for social creation, speed, accessibility, viral potential. Veo 3 caps at 8 seconds but delivers cinematic 4K quality. Sora 2 goes up to 20 seconds but maxes out at 1080p. Veo 3 targets developers and enterprise clients. Sora 2 targets everyday consumers who want to create and share. The AI video generation market is expected to exceed $20 billion by 2027, with annual growth rates above 25%. That kind of expansion means capital is flooding in, valuations are spiking, and companies are pivoting strategies to capture market share. OpenAI's social app approach is a direct play for consumer adoption and user-generated training data, something competitors like Google can't easily replicate within their existing product structures. But here's the strategic tension. OpenAI released Sora 1 in February 2024, but by the time it became publicly available in December, competitors had already overtaken it in quality. Veo 3 was already impressing users with better consistency and audio-visual alignment, so OpenAI needed a different angle. Hence the social app, the cameo feature, the focus on accessibility over pure technical specs. The industry reaction. The shift wasn't happening by accident, though, and the industry response was swift and telling. Tyler Perry's $800 million expansion halt was just the most visible reaction. Behind the scenes, Hollywood creatives started sounding alarms about jobs in reference animation, concept art, and storyboarding potentially becoming redundant. Some filmmakers tried to stay optimistic. One director said Sora could be used as a tool to help enhance the filmmaking process, generating stock footage, or conceptualizing storyboards rather than replacing human creativity entirely. But others weren't convinced. The concern wasn't that Sora 2 is perfect now, it's that it's improving exponentially, and today's limitations might be gone in 6 months. But by then, the message was spreading. Animation communities expressed discomfort. Visual effects artists started debating whether their specialized skills would still matter in 5 years. And indie filmmakers faced a paradox. Sora 2 could democratize video production, letting anyone create professional-looking content without expensive equipment, but it could also flood the market with AI-generated content that makes it harder for human creators to stand out. At the same time, bulls started making the economic case. Content creators pointed out that Sora 2 could enable entirely new forms of storytelling. Marketers saw opportunities for personalized video ads at scale. Educators imagined interactive learning content that adapts to student needs. The AI video generation space wasn't just about replacing existing workflows, it was about creating entirely new possibilities, the global implications. And there's a bigger context here that policy experts couldn't ignore: the global AI race. China's AI community expressed both excitement and anxiety about Sora 2. Domestic investors saw opportunity. The Sora index tracking Chinese tech companies surged 11.4% after the announcement. But there were also concerns about supply chain risks if US chip export restrictions continued, potentially limiting China's ability to compete in AI video generation. Meanwhile, other countries started positioning themselves differently. Some jurisdictions began researching Sora-like infrastructure for public financial systems, prioritizing security, speed, and innovative features over token price speculation. The conversation wasn't just about video generation anymore. It was about which countries and companies would lead in the next wave of AI development. And then there's the precedent this sets. For decades, Silicon Valley operated on a move fast and break things philosophy. Sora 2's launch, with its opt-out copyright policy, limited safety testing, and immediate consumer availability, suggested that mindset was alive and well despite years of backlash over social media harms, data privacy violations, and algorithmic manipulation. The future future implications. But even now, the situation remains fluid. The app is invite-only, rolling out slowly across the US and Canada. ChatGPT Pro users get priority access to higher quality generations, and OpenAI has promised API access and broader international availability in coming weeks. Some companies are adapting by exploring how to integrate Sora 2 into existing workflows. Others are doubling down on competing models. And there's a bigger lesson here. AI video generation isn't just about making cool clips anymore. It's about who controls visual media, who profits from creativity, and whether we can maintain any shared sense of reality when every video we see might be fabricated. Sora 2 is technically impressive. The physics modeling, the audio synchronization, the cameo feature represent genuine innovation, but the copyright controversy and safety concerns reveal the tension at the heart of generative AI. We're building systems that can replicate human creativity at scale, and we haven't figured out how to do that ethically. The separate Sora app is arguably a better approach than flooding existing social platforms with AI content. It acknowledges that AI-generated media is different and needs its own space, but it also creates a training ground where OpenAI learns from every interaction, every remix, every viral trend, continuously improving the model with user-generated data. So where does this leave us? OpenAI positions Sora 2 as democratizing video creation. Critics see it as commodifying human creativity and bulldozing copyright protections. Both things can be true. A small creator might use Sora 2 to make videos they couldn't afford to produce traditionally. A corporation might use it to generate cheap content that displaces human workers. A teenager might create harmless memes with friends. A bad actor might generate deepfakes for harassment or fraud. The $20 billion AI video generation market isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. And Sora 2, for all its controversy, represents where this technology is heading. More accessible, more realistic, more integrated into our daily lives. OpenAI believes video models will fundamentally reshape society and accelerate the arc of human progress. Whether that's inspiring or terrifying probably depends on whether you're excited about new creative tools or worried about losing your job to an algorithm. And there's one thing everyone agrees on. We're not remotely prepared for what comes next. Sora 2 is impressive technology. It's also the beginning of a massive societal shift in how we create, consume, and trust visual media. The legal battles will play out in courts over years. The safety concerns will evolve as bad actors find new exploits. The competitive landscape will shift as Google, Meta, and others respond. But the fundamental question remains, in a world where anyone can generate hyper-realistic video of anything or anyone with a few text prompts, what happens to truth? What happens to creativity? What happens to the human element that makes art meaningful in the first place? If you made it this far, let us know what you think about OpenAI's Sora 2, and whether AI-generated video is innovation or disruption in the comments below. Thanks for watching.